Brushy Creek is one of the most sought after neighborhoods when you're moving into the Austin suburbs. But for me, it's more than just a neighborhood, it's actually the place I found my very first home in Austin and in the US. In this video, I'm going to go deep into the Brushy Creek area and look at its convenience, surroundings, and real estate to understand how does it match against the competition. First things first, it's Texas, so it's going to be confusing. Let's talk about what is Brushy Creek, because it's not really a city and it's kind of a neighborhood. It's actually a MUD, a municipal utility district. Brushy Creek includes 3 cities: Round Rock, Cedar Park, and Austin, Texas. It is associated with Round Rock ISD. It's a great school district and we're going to talk about it a bit later. But the main thing to know is that you're not going to have a Brushy Creek in your address. It's going to be Austin or Cedar Park or even Round Rock. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about convenience and inconvenience. Let's talk about shoppings and restaurants. Inside the middle of the community, there is a little coffee shop called Drinkle. They're kind of cute and local, so I like to support them. Tony C's is a nice Italian restaurant. It's close to my home. They have a gluten-free pizza that is actually not disgusting. There are more restaurants in the Brushy Creek area and in its blast radius, so there is an abundance of places to go to, but it is a suburb, so don't expect to walk into your favorite restaurant. With regards to shoppings, Brushy Creek is located between 4 main shopping centers, and there are also an abundance of theaters, and all of them are located within these centers. So all in all, even though you can't walk typically to your favorite place, it is within proximity to everything, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 6. From a public transportation perspective, Brushy Creek is still within Texas, which means that the public transportation kind of sucks. The nearest bus stop and train are around the Lakeline area, so you can take a train from there to downtown, but you need to drive there. But when we talk about roads, Brushy is very strategically located between the 183 in the west, the I-35 in the east, the 45 that connect them both, Palmer in the middle, and from everything you can connect to Mopac. But the main thing is, it's really centralized and you can get everywhere from anywhere within Brushy with relative ease. When I factor everything in, and I do remember it is a suburb, but it's close to all the main roads, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 6. Moving on to hub proximity, how close is it to the main hubs? So we do have the domain within 15 minutes of Brushy, depending on where you are exactly, and then we have downtown 25 to 30 minutes. If we're talking about traffic, increase the time by 10 to 20 minutes from the times I mentioned earlier. All in all, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 6. Moving on to surroundings and starting with the schools, and one of the best things about living in Brushy Creek is that you're going to be associated with Round Rock West School District. This is a great school district. The public school system in Brushy Creek is considered to be a good one. I personally know people in Great Oaks, Cactus, Fern Bluff, and Elsa, England, and everybody are just reporting great things about it. All in all, it's really good. So I'm going to give it a solid 5 out of 6. Definitely one of the best school districts in Austin. Moving on to parks and greenery, and that is one of the main attractions for me regarding this area. It is very, very green here. The neighborhood has been established for quite a while. There's a variety to choose from. When we go with our kids, we have a variety of splash pads and parks, and every time we just go to a different park and it's kind of nice. One of the main features in this segment is also the Brushy Creek Park. Around the park you have several activities for children like fossil dig sites, splash pads, swimming, rock climbing, just a bunch of things to do with the family. So with all of that in mind, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 6. Moving on to community and safety. So there is an abundance of community centers depending on what neighborhood you live in. The community centers are typically funded by the HOA, so they're subsidized and cheap. When I lived in Brushy Creek, I paid $100 for a yearly membership for the gym, and it was an excellent gym. You can also have access to pools and lacrosse and basketball court. There are also many events for the community, and with regards to safety, it's pretty much as safe as it gets. Look at the crime status. If it's super green, there's virtually nothing here. So all in all, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 6. Moving on to real estate, starting with affordability, always one of the tougher factors, because how do you really calculate value for money? Well, I'm going to give it a shot. Let's go into my proprietary analysis tools. So if you're new to the channel, I'm also an engineer, and I have the tool that I built to basically download all the database, and we can run queries on it. And what I'm going to show you is what's going on with the market in Brushy. So if I go here and I click on trend, we can see here in the orange that the market is relatively hot, 7 days to sell on the market. This is days on market index. And then you have the close and list price median. And we can see that the median close price for July 23 is about 580. and the closed price per square feet around $257 per square feet. By the way, we can see a 15% increase from January all the way to July, and we can see it's a bit stagnated here. If I'm looking on the quarterly basis, I can see that it went down during the time that the interest rate surged up, and then it started to trend upwards quite strongly even now in this crazy market. But we're talking about affordability. So if we're taking 257 and multiply it by 2400, we're seeing about 600 grand in order to purchase a single family home in Brushy. I can run some other queries here and look like what happens if we're trying to get like a starter home. So for example, if I'm trying to get a home between 1600 square feet to 2500 square feet, we can see that the average closed price per square feet is $250 per square foot. Per the schools, I think it's relatively affordable, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 6. Moving on to scarcity, how valuable is the land? Well, if you've seen before, I spoke about it and we saw how the trend is increasing significantly since the start of the year. We can see how the numbers are still increasing in Brushy. I know all the numbers from all the neighborhoods and I can tell you that Brushy Creek is overperforming comparing to the Austin market. And it happens because it's landlocked. It's strategically located between all the roads. So when you compare it to something like Georgetown or Leander, when you have a lot of land reserves, prices there are a bit more stagnated because you can build new properties. In Brushy, you're kind of done. If you're considering to move to Austin, if you're considering investing in Austin, reach out to me. You have my contact information below. We can look at all the tools together. We can understand your specific situation and find the best solution for your needs. All of that means that the land is relatively scarce and valuable, but of course it's not as valuable as something closer to downtown. So all in all, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 6. Continuing to density, and compared to a lot of places in Austin, it's relatively not dense. The lot sizes are between 0.2 to 0.25 acres oftentimes, which means that you're not going to be living so close to your neighbors, you're going to have some privacy. You can expect a large backyard, really depending on the neighborhood, especially if you go to North Brushy Creek or to Breakaway when you have larger parcels of land. If you're into that, you can even find larger lots that you can raise chickens or horses in, while still being within immediate proximity to all of the restaurants and the great schools. So all in all, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 6. The last factor is character. And this is one of the tricky things because I think it's more about my opinion to a degree. Character is not something that I can objectively look at, so there is a subjective preference to it. And when I look at Brushy Creek, I see mature trees, I see larger parcels of land, see houses that are not little boxes, they're not like copy-paste of one another. So all in all, there's a bit of everything for everyone. That said, I can't really compare it to something like Hyde Park or Mueller when you have a bit more character, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 6. So to sum it all up, I'm looking at the convenience score of 4.3. It is relatively a good one, but not the best one for sure. In the suburbs area, it's on the better edge. But compared to something like downtown Austin or Mueller or Ellendale and Crestview, it's not going to compete. In the surrounding factor, Brushy Creek is relatively high ranked. And in the real estate factor, it also shines. The total score of Brushy Creek is 45 out of 60. 60 is a perfect score. Nothing's going to get there. So 45 is definitely a good score. Looking at the entire table, we can compare it to other suburbs in Austin and we can see it is fairly high ranked. I think Avery Ranch beat it by a point, but all in all, it looks relatively good. And I should mention that I didn't even know where it's going to land when I did the score, so I'm not trying to present an argument here. It's more about trying to rank it to the best of my capabilities. But let me know in the comment section, what are you thinking of Brushy Creek? Do you agree with my scores? Would you score it differently? Would you use a different scoring system than the 6-star pointing system that is been scientifically proven to be the best scoring system in the entire world? Let me know in the comment section. Which of the neighborhood you would like me to cover? I don't have a lot of comments here, so if you leave a comment, I'm probably going to make a video about your suggestion. So do that. That is it for today. I hope it was insightful. If you like this content, please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel. Leave a comment if you want me to cover other neighborhoods and if you have any point that I should cover in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.